Hello, young adventurers. Welcome to an exciting journey through the fascinating history of Brazilian navigation. Did you know that Brazil has a rich maritime history? Let's dive into it together and explore some interesting facts and stories about the brave navigators who risked their lives to explore the unknown seas. The Portuguese navigator Pedro Álvares Cabral discovered Brazil in 1500 while searching for a new route to the East Indies. He sailed with a fleet of 13 ships and over 1,500 crew members, including sailors, soldiers, and artisans. Cabral was surprised to find the lush vegetation, crystal-clear waters, and vibrant wildlife of Brazil. However, he was not the first to discover Brazil, as the country was already inhabited by indigenous people. The Portuguese explorers encountered the indigenous people for the first time during their voyage. The indigenous people had a rich culture, language, and way of life that was very different from that of the Portuguese. The encounter between the two groups was a mixture of curiosity and conflict, as they tried to understand each other's customs and beliefs. The Portuguese soon realized that Brazil was a land rich in natural resources, including gold, diamonds, and precious woods such as the pau-brasil tree. The pau-brasil tree was highly prized for its red dye, and it was harvested by the indigenous people. The Portuguese started trading with the indigenous people, exchanging various goods for the pau-brasil wood. The trade relationship between the Portuguese and the indigenous people had a significant impact on Brazilian history, as it shaped the economy, culture, and social structure of the country. The Portuguese explorers also encountered many challenges during their voyage, including the scarcity of resources such as food and water. To solve this problem, they had to find ways to store enough provisions to last for months at sea. They used specific techniques and materials to store food, such as salted meat, hardtack, and dried fruits. The sailors also had to maintain their hygiene in the confined spaces of the ships, using various methods to stay clean and healthy. The Portuguese explorers had another mission in Brazil, which was to establish colonies and convert the indigenous people to Christianity. The Catholic priests were sent to Brazil to catechize the indigenous people and spread the Christian faith. The priests encountered many challenges, including language barriers, cultural differences, and resistance from the indigenous people. However, they managed to establish missions and schools, which became centers of learning and culture in Brazil. The Portuguese explorers also engaged in the practice of escambo, which was a form of trade with the indigenous people. They exchanged European goods, such as clothing, weapons, and tools, for indigenous goods, such as food, animal skins, and precious stones. This trade relationship had a significant impact on the economy of Brazil, as it facilitated the exchange of goods and created a system of commerce that shaped the social and cultural fabric of the country. As the Portuguese explorers sailed through the ocean, they encountered various marine animals that they had never seen before. The deep blue ocean was home to magnificent creatures such as whales, dolphins, and sharks. The sailors were fascinated by these animals and often recorded their sightings in their journals. They also used some of the animals for food, such as fish and other seafood, to supplement their provisions on board. Back on land, Brazil was home to a vast array of wild animals that amazed the Portuguese explorers. The lush vegetation was home to colorful birds, such as macaws and toucans, and playful monkeys. The forests were also home to large mammals, such as jaguars and tapirs, which the indigenous people hunted for food and materials. The Portuguese explorers were amazed by the diversity of wildlife in Brazil and often brought back samples and specimens to Europe to study and showcase. In conclusion, Brazilian navigation has a rich and complex history that shaped the country's culture, economy, and social structure. The Portuguese explorers faced many challenges during their voyages, including encounters with indigenous people, scarcity of resources, and the need for hygiene and preservation of food. They established colonies and missions, engaged in trade relationships with the indigenous people, and documented the natural wonders of Brazil. The encounters between the Portuguese explorers and the indigenous people were not always peaceful, and they had lasting effects on Brazilian history. The trade relationship and the establishment of colonies and missions had significant impacts on the economy and culture of Brazil. The Portuguese also brought their language, religion, and traditions to Brazil, which have become part of the country's identity. Brazil's rich natural resources and biodiversity have fascinated the Portuguese explorers, who were amazed by the marine and wildlife they encountered. The exploration of Brazil's vast oceans and forests has contributed to the development of science and knowledge, as well as to the enrichment of European cultures. We hope you enjoyed this journey through the history of Brazilian navigation and learned something new. If you did, please leave a comment below and let us know what you found the most interesting. Also, don't forget to watch our other videos and share them with your friends. Thank you for joining us on this adventure.